So in this particular video, we'll be focusing on the radiological findings. That is the X-ray evaluation or the X-ray examination. So basically it can be grouped into two specific headings. That first is the ages of fusion of various joints. Then the second one is ages of eruption or appearance of various ossification centers. In this particular video, we'll be focusing on ages of fusion of various joints. And in the upcoming videos, we'll be discussing all the joints and their ossification centers as well. So, let's start with this. So in this picture, we can see various skull sutures. What is important for you to remember is these three: coronal, sagittal, and lambdoid sutures. So, coronal suture starts fusing at around 25 years and fuses completely by 40 years. Similarly, lambdoid suture also starts by 25 years, but it completely fuses by around 45 years. So there is a 5 years gap right between both. And then to remember the sagittal one, you have to divide it into three parts: the anterior, the middle, and the posterior. So the first one to fuse is posterior, that is at around 30 to 40 years, starts by 30, ends by 40. Then the middle part, that is starts by 40 years, ends by 50 years. Finally, the middle part, which starts by 50 and ends by 60 years. So most of the sutures of the skull are starting to fuse by around 25 to 30 years. This is what you need to remember. Then coming on to the sternum bone, as we can see, there are three parts of sternum. First is the manubrium sternum, the body, and the sternum. So the body fuses in four different parts. So the third and the fourth parts of the body of the sternum will fuse at around 15 years, then go up. Second and the third will fuse around 20 years, then go further up, and the first and the second part of the body of the sternum will be fused at around 25 years. Then go back down. The fourth part with the sternum will be fusing at around 40 years, and finally the body with the manubrium sternum will be fusing at around 60 years, that is at old age. So we discussed the skull and the sternum. What else do you need to remember? The joints of the extremities. So there is a simple trick to remember the ages for those. Make 4 lines. Then write 15 to 16, 16 to 17, 17 to 18, and 18 to 19. So let's imagine this is the head of the person. The joint closest to it is shoulder joint, go straight down, elbow joint. Let's imagine this is the upper extremity of the individual. Then go straight up. This is the wrist joint. So at 15 to 16 years, we can see fusion of the elbow joint. At 17 to 18 years, we can see the fusion of shoulder joint, as in all the ossification centers will be joining to form a specific joint. Then at 18 to 19 years, there is fusion of the wrist joint. Now let's talk about the lower extremity. Go straight down, up, and down. So this is the hip joint, the knee joint, and the ankle joint. So the hip joint will be fusing at around 16 to 17 years. Knee joint will be fusing at around 17 to 18, and finally the ankle joint at 16 to 17. So this is a simple trick to remember all the fusion of the joints of the extremities. So how can you say if a joint is fused or not? By looking at the x-rays. So we have three examples here. Let's name them 1 and 2. So if you try to compare these x-rays, you can see minute differences in them. In the first x-ray, you can see there is significant joint space, or the space between the bones. Here, so this is basically the diaphysis and the epiphysis of the radius bone. This is the diaphysis and epiphysis ulnar bone, and these are the metacarpals. So this X-ray is the unfused one. Similarly, if you go to this X-ray, you cannot see any joint space here or the space between the bones, and this one is the fused one. So what did we study? The wrist joint will fuse at around 18 to 19 years. So this one is fused, so its age will be more than 18 to 19 years. Whereas in this X-ray, its age will be less than 18 to 19 years. Similarly, in this, let's name them 1 and 2 again. The elbow joint. As we know, elbow joint fuses at around 15 to 16 years. So this one is the fused one, so its age is more than 15 to 16 years. Whereas here you can see space between the bone and the joints as well. So this age will be less than 15. Similarly, in the last X-rays, 1 and 2, you can see joint space here. So hip joint is not fused yet. Its age will be less than 16 to 17 years, whereas its age will be more than 16 to 17 years. Please remember, this is the hip joint. If we were to see the pelvic joint here, you can see the pelvic joint is also fused, as in all the three bones of the pelvis have fused with each other, ischium, ilium and pubis. This happens at around 20 years. So we can also say that this age is more than